Welcome, everyone, to Wizards and Warp Drives, the podcast where two grown-ass men get deeply nerdy about the things they love. My name is Nacho, and joining me, as per usual, is the mighty glue stick himself, Mr. AJ Pickett.
Hello, everybody.
It's the season, mate.
It is. I'm drinking a beer as we do this podcast, by the way. It's a Monteith's black beer, brewed in the, very nice beer, 5.2%.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, and happy birthday as well coming up, mate. Yeah, so I just had a birthday as well, so we're December babies.
Yeah, well, my birthday is Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Oh, I thought your birthday was Christmas Eve.
No, that was my dad.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's why this year is a bit of a bummer Christmas for the family, but there's lots of people our age are losing parents and stuff around this, around now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned that I hadn't put out a lot of videos this month, and I got a lot of feedback, from people who were telling me, "You're very nice. Your videos are always very nice. If you let them know what's going on and why you're not putting out content like you used to." But because it's December, as a YouTuber, generally speaking, your views are going to be good no matter what. So although I should have capitalized and put out lots of videos and gotten as many views as possible, what I did do was took a break, took a mental health month, and essentially just put out one video and then let the normal commuters and stuff catch up on content that they hadn't watched in a while. That's the beauty of having long form, evergreen content, that you've got that archive to rely on. So I can take a break from the grind, which is so critical. And I think part of the reason why I've been at this for such a long time is because I can, I'm not chained to the computer like a lot of people who chase like current affairs and things like that. And I worry about channels that do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely listen to your body. Listen,
Well, in my case, it's just grief and depression sort of just stops my creative spark. So I literally can't do what I do. So I'll just sit there and I'll be staring at a script on the Umplebee for 2 days. Don't write a word. I'm just not there, not motivated. And unless I'm passionate about what I'm doing, I won't do it. So because it would result in a shitty video anyway. If I'm not feeling it, it comes across. Because I am myself. I'm not putting on a fake personality when I make my videos. That's me. Calm AJ. Well, calm in the videos as the sage, but not calm when it comes to talking about Wizards of the Coast and all that sort of hoo-ha. It's been an interesting year. This is our year in respect in well, what are we looking forward to coming ahead, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, 2024 is done. I was thinking of doing a retrospective. Is that how you say it? But yeah, I thought instead we'd maybe do an anticipation of 2025 and talk about what's coming up. I thought we'd go through, tabletop RPGs, movies, books, anything that we're looking forward to next year. So, should we kick it off with tabletop RPGs?
Sure. Just dive into the ocean that I'm native to. So there's a lot of things coming out. Around February is going to be a real hot month for 2025 because a lot of Kickstarters are going to be delivering around February. The Bones Reaper miniatures have just arrived. The containers have arrived and docked and are currently docking in Australia right now. So they're going to be distributed straight from unloading, directly mailed out from there. So it looks like it'll be January there that all of the Reaper Bones miniatures backers will be getting their, I think it's, this is number 7 Kickstarter run that they've done. I got a modest amount of miniatures this year, which means a lot because those Reaper Bones miniatures are just, that company alone is responsible for so many people having huge piles of miniatures they haven't painted.
Yeah, that's one hobby I don't have, so I'm quite lucky. Well, that's one hobby I haven't got into is painting miniatures. And
that's the thing about D&D. It's a nest of hobbies. So world building is a hobby, character building is a hobby, miniature terrain making is a hobby, painting miniatures is a hobby, wargaming is a hobby. You could say that wargaming is just an aspect of role playing that that people focus on.
So I guess we'll get the elephant of the room out of the way first. So let's talk about Wizards of the Coast.
Mm,
They've got a lineup planned for this for next year.
yeah.
So in February we're getting the Monster Manual,
Hmm.
uh, and after that it is a Dragon anthology book, which is a collection of adventures showcasing different dragons. And then we are getting a new starter set, which is going to be based on the classic adventure Keep on the Borderlands. And
Mm,
then we are getting two Forgotten Realm books, one aimed at players and one aimed at dungeon masters. Which
yeah. A campaign guide finally. So we haven't had a campaign guide for what, 15 years? It's some huge amount of time, not since the fourth edition one.
I
So it's
wouldn't I wouldn't count Sword Coast Adventurers Guide as a campaign guide. So
well,
yeah,
no, well, the Forgotten Realms playing campaign guide for fourth edition. That's it there.
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
it's not the player's guide to the Sword Coast.
mm,
So it's much smaller than the other one. So they already started to sort of dumb down things down. I got this in '09, and it's a very different Forgotten Realms. Like the outer planes are different. They talk about the fugue plane, the gates of the moon, and things. Um, yeah, it's strangely organized as fourth edition tended to be. Everything that's
yep,
like compartmentalized into like cards. Um, yeah, you can see that back in fourth edition they were already thinking about integrating card games with role playing games because
mm,
you could play. I mean, cards were literally part of your character sheet. So they were already getting people geared towards the idea of like Magic the Gathering and D&D crossover. Yeah, that's doable. But at the time, of course, they hadn't changed all of the they hadn't brought the two IPs in line with each other power wise. But now with Magic the Gathering, the War of the Spark, and everything, they have. So Magic the Gathering universe is much similar to the role playing environment that you would be used to. So individual adventurers and stuff that aren't super powerful planeswalkers that can just plane shift
yep,
armies into different places, which is interesting. Which opens up a whole huge avenue of lore and worlds and stuff to go and visit, which I'm looking forward to. I would be surprised if they put anything like that in the campaign guide. Um, Certainly not. Maybe a mention. I don't know. If they put a mention in there, I'll be like, look.
yeah,
But no, yeah, I don't imagine so. I think they're going to be with the player's handbook, very generic, very just the basics of what everything is and where it is and stuff. They'll talk a lot about the factions and things, and it'll be very focused on the personalities of like player backgrounds and things like that. That's what I think.
yeah.
Um,
This is the synopsis that they put out is provides also for the player's guide provides a setting overview and players options including subclasses, feats, backgrounds, faction info, spells.
yeah, that's very good. All well and good, Wizards of the Coast, to give us an overview, but
Mm,
if you never provide us with the details, it's not an overview.
yeah,
It's all the information you're going to give us. That's the
mm,
basic thing. Apart from standalone, like essentially they wait for somebody to produce a regional guide. Like this is a guide to Thay, for instance. Thay, the Land of the Red Wizards,
yeah,
by Ed Greenwood and Alex Kamer and Alan Patrick. Ed Greenwood. So this is essentially canon.
mm,
Have they announced it? Is it on the main page? Is it part of their, no. It's you got
mm.
to find it on Drive Through RPG or the GM's Guild. So it's essentially official material on Thay. I'm holding in my hands right here, and I can guarantee most of our listeners would have no idea this book even exists.
No,
But yeah, Thay's incredibly important.
yeah. Well, it's
Um,
the same with. I know you're not a big fan of Eberron, but it's the same with what's his name that created Eberron?
Baker.
Well,
Mm,
Baker, yeah, all his stuff is on Drive Through RPG. It's
yeah,
not official. You know,
yeah, yeah.
the fifth edition Eberron book isn't essentially his work.
Mm, yeah, it's
And
crazy.
same with Dragonlance as well. You know,
Yeah, well, Dragonlance. Oh man.
Weiss and Hickman aren't involved with that 5e book. So
Yeah, the have we talked about what happened with Joe Manganiello and Hickman and Weiss and what was the Coast did?
uh,
Last
maybe in private, I don't think. No, I don't think we haven't.
Okay, in a nutshell, to the viewers, what happened was Joe Manganiello was given a green light to create a live action series of Dragonlance. And he wrote it and he organized it, and the script is incredibly good. It's been compared to Game of Thrones. in level of quality, not in how it ends. And it was in full cahoots with Tracy Hickman and
No, Tracy Hickman.
Yeah, Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss. So they worked with him together on this, and it was fully greenlit, fully okay to go, and it was ready to go. He was all ready to organize, and we're talking devoting years of his life to this project, which is what it would involve. It's a full on, takes over every aspect of your life, because directing a project like that is a huge undertaking. So it would have taken him years, and it was all ready to go. And he was starting to, organize the actual physical doing of it, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out. The company that was gave them the green light had already had unbeknownst to Joe and Tracy and Margaret, they produced a supplement for Dragonlance that had nothing to do with the original creators. It was sparse, it was crappy, it was the usual hand wave overview bullshit that they put out, and it completely blindsided the people that they had given a green light to do this project for. And then all of a sudden they just went, oh, well, we're not going with that. We've sold our movie making branch, etc.
Yeah, they dropped E1, which was the production house they were using.
It's absolutely insane. There's no logical reason for it.
Joe even offered to buy the rights of Dragonlance off Wizards of the Coast, and they weren't interested in selling.
No, Hasbro does not release IP. It does not sell IP. It hoards it. So that they can hit people with lawsuits. That's their MO. As far as they're concerned, petty lawsuits that people can't defend themselves against are in form of income for Hasbro, and have been for the last 100 years. You just got to look at Wikipedia.
So he's a lifelong fan of Dragonlance.
Super fan.
And he's good friends with Tracy Hickman, who is one of the co-creators. Who Tracy and Laura also created Ravenloft as well. So
and for those who don't know, Tracy Hickman is a moral. He's about the equivalent of a D&D paladin. He has stood his ground on principles many times in the past, and to do this to him is just a massive slap in the face.
And it was a story that wasn't based on any existing novel. It was just based on the existing world, a completely original story, apparently with original characters, and that it was telling a different tale that took place in the world of Kryn.
Yeah,
I've just recently, this year, I got back into Dragonlance. I've read 12 Dragonlance books in 2024.
Wow.
And I've only read all the Hickman and Weiss ones. So, I mean, I know when Wizards of the Coast originally took over the rights to Dragonlance, they dropped Weiss and Hickman then, and they did this whole Fifth Age thing to try and bring in new players' handbooks and stuff like that, and keep that IP going for third edition. And then I just recently read War of the Souls, which is basically the return of Weiss and Hickman to Dragonlance, and that book is just a complete recon of like everything that Wizards of the Coast did. It starts off with like Tasselhoff Barefoot has a time machine, comes back and goes, oh, all that shit that's just happened in the last few books, that didn't exist. They just
fantastic. I love
completely reset it. But I know they're still writing. I know they're still writing the novels. So I think it must be. I'm not too sure how the rights are. I guess they just have the rights now to the novels.
Yeah.
Because I know they weren't even consulted. So not even to give them like a just the courtesy of like, hey, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's just unbelievable disrespect. Unbelievable disrespect. Like it's so potent. It's like getting skunk sprayed. That's how bad it was. And Joe put out a video where he just told it like it was exactly what had happened. And he didn't have to elaborate. He didn't have to put on any fake emotions. It really hurt him. And it's hurt the fans of Dragonlance, I think, immeasurably. And it's given us another timeline. The what if the Dragonlance show had been made, and hopefully that script stays around and we will see it eventually.
Speaking of shows, did you have you watched Secret Level? Did you watch that Dungeons and Dragons episode of what did you think of that?
Personally, I liked it better than the D&D movie.
Okay.
They packed more into that half hour or however long. I was gobsmacked the entire way through. In fact, I've only watched it once so far, because I'm
Yeah.
just I'm letting my brain forget some details so that I can go back and enjoy it again.
I
That's how
watched it
much I loved it.
twice. There's one. I'm sure most people that listen to this have watched it. If not, there was one moment. My favorite moment was I thought that dwarf was like a cleric or a barbarian or something, and then it was like when he caught the arrow and threw it back, and I was like, "Fuck, he's a monk!" Like
Yeah.
just like, it was just something about that scene. Like that, it was a really like if you want to get someone into D&D, it was a perfect little like 15-minute showcase of hey, this is what a D&D game is like.
You
Um,
know, me and you should watch that and do a live react video, and
yeah.
I'll throw it up on my channel.
And what I really like is at the moment I'm running Lost Mine of Phandelver, and I'm kind of I introduced the Cult of the Dragon. I don't know why. I just got sick of orcs and goblins, so I
Hmm.
was just wanting some bandits, and I was like, oh, I'll just make them Cult of the Dragon bandits, and they were worshipping Tiamat, and I was like, if the players engage with that, maybe I'll play Tyranny of Dragons. I know that's a shit adventure, but yeah, we'll see. So it was quite cool because all my players are like, oh, they're like those guys that we met the other week in our adventure. So it was quite timely. Yeah, so now
Mm.
they're all pumped for possibly dealing with Tiamat themselves.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm kind of excited for all these books. Monster Manual is a given. It's probably the least excited one I am. I'm
Yeah,
personally
I get that impression from people online as well. They're saying that usually it's the least interesting one. I'm like, it's the most interesting one
yeah
for me. I think there's two things I do when I pick up a brand new RPG, and that's pick up and look up how characters are made, and then look at the monster listing, because that
mm,
gives me a basic overview of how the system works immediately. Because I'm
yeah
looking at the grinder, right, the coal face of how the game combat and stuff works and interaction. And so the monster manual tells me a lot about the power level of the game, what they're aiming for, what they want you to encounter, and the depth of descriptions and stuff like that they put in there
yeah.
really says a lot.
I'm excited because so far in these new core books I've liked the art, so I'm hoping there's some really cool art in this 2024 Monster Manual. And one thing that I just hope they make the stat box a little. So one thing I've mentioned this a few times that I always struggle with when playing monsters are ones that have spell casting abilities, and then
Mm.
I have to look up the spell, and next thing I've got like 2 books on the go.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
No. They want to print the spell effects in the stat block.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the other thing I'm excited about. Like that, if they do that well, yeah, I'll be happy with that because that's probably one of my bugbears,
Mm.
uh, pun intended,
Yeah.
of like running monsters. Is I have to like go because I don't know every spell off the top of my head, and I'll look, and it's like, oh, I want to use my best ones because in 5th edition, your monsters don't tend to stick around much longer than the 3rd round. So,
Mm.
I want to be throwing the best shit at the players, and I don't want to like have to have that book open plus the player's handbook open, and
Right.
you know, yeah, and at the same time, I want to be spontaneous. So the only way I have to run spellcasters is I have to sit there and go, okay, what's this guy's spells? Look at these spells, and kind of have a strategic plan ahead, which takes out the whole like I'm just going to throw this monster at you randomly element for
Mm.
me.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would like a stat block that's a little bit more, you know, user friendly.
Right. Sigil is coming as well. You gave me a code to
Oh
to uh,
yes, yes,
to access Sigil. Wizards of the Coast have not given me access to Sigil, even though I applied. Or maybe I don't know, I got lost in the mail.
we
But
found a backdoor entry, but
yeah, backdoor. So I haven't signed any NDAs or anything, so I'm quite free to talk about it. It's shit. It's terrible. I've seen there's much better VTTs out there, virtual tabletops, and it's got a long way to go before it'll deliver on the promises that they've made. Essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to, from scratch, make a multi-platform venue that anybody can play their campaigns with. It's going to be incredibly resource hungry. It's not going to work on mobile. That's
no.
for sure.
So that's my issue. It didn't work on my computer. Well, I don't know if it didn't work on my computer. I immediately got told that my driver was out of date and would be buggy, and to update my driver. And
Yeah,
I'm always scared of updating drivers on my computer
here's the thing. It gave me the same message, but it ran anyway.
okay,
So yeah, so I updated my drivers. It was unnecessary. It was already running. So it
yeah,
popped up an error message for no reason. And I was like, okay, sign one that it's not good. But yeah, so then trying to use the interface, it was not intuitive. It was generic. It was the same. Like, they haven't done anything new. They haven't innovated anything. It's the same old crap that worse VTTs have been doing for years. And I get the feeling that, like, these guys just don't know what they, and also they haven't been able to recruit any talent. And I would not blame anybody for not wanting to work at Wizards of the Coast and avoiding them like the plague, because you've got no job security whatsoever. They are known to be exploitive of the creatives, 100%. I mean, I just brushed against working with Wizards of the Coast, and it was an unpleasant experience, where they stole and they steal information from, ideas from people. They stole from Esper. They've stolen from me, ideas and stuff from me that they should never have asked me in the first place, because they didn't have a contract. I was a consultant. I wasn't a creative writer for them, and they were asking me to do creative writing, which they should not have done. It was a long time ago, but yeah, it was a bad experience, and I have no inclination to work with Wizards of the Coast in their current form.
So
and I will not be using Sigil. I'll be checking in on it, but yeah, I don't hold up. I'm sure.
My experience is I tried to boot it up and then it just crashed, and I tried to boot it up, then it just crashed, and then I was like, "Fuck, I'm just going to do something else and have a look later." So
yeah, you can.
What did you play
better
around
spend
with?
your time playing, just trying to make a map and interact with it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to do. The building side. So the building side's shit.
Yeah. They got a couple of set pieces, which is like a. So it looks like what they want to do is they want to build units of interactive stuff. So it's got a torch and stuff, and it'll have things that are, integrated. The main problem is that they want to do all these sound effects and spell effects and stuff integrated into the miniatures actions, but they haven't concentrated on the actual user interface. And the user interface is clunky and bad. It's not intuitive. It's difficult. It's based on the same model that all the others use, which is not good. Like, VTTs are notoriously a steep learning curve, and it's time consuming to do. Like, it's not a form of easy. It doesn't make prepping easy. It makes it harder. So it becomes a hobby in and of itself. So people end up obsessively making things. And I think that's really what they're interested in. Is they're not interested in making it easier for people to just do. They're making it so that you can do it yourself, but it's going to be really difficult to do it yourself. What they want you to do is buy prepackaged adventures and terrain and maps and stuff. In which case, the player interface has to be a lot better than what it is now. Yeah, but I don't want to give them free advice. I will just tell you that at the moment, you're better off learning how to use Foundry or Roll20.
I think Maps is fine. I use
Maps is fine. Yeah,
Beyond Maps, and it does everything I want out of a VTT. But I don't play. I'm a hybrid player now, so I don't play online. I play in person, but I still use VTT tools.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm the opposite. I play hybrid with a camera on actual miniatures and terrain.
Yeah.
If I have to.
Like we said before, there's no two ways to play this game. We all play it differently. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I use Maps and I use my TV, and I just Chromecast the map onto the TV. Has Shadow of War. Guys can move their tokens around. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I watched the first episode of the Bards of Aratai.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really good.
Dice Legends.
Yeah, Dice Legends. Really high production value, really entertaining. There's this.
I sent him a shout out. He, Vahid. Chase mechanics always notoriously bad in 5e, and he does he's got a little homebrew sort of like skill challenge way he runs it, and yeah, he did it really well. I'm gonna I think he's going to release a video about his chase rules. Which,
I'm going to send him a copy of the Stargate SG1 5th edition source book, the one that was Kickstarted, because it's actually got some really good innovative new mechanics for 5th edition, which improve it quite a bit. Yeah, because that was they had the entire, the SG1. It was an official product put out by the SG1 production company, and it had all the stars and stuff behind it. And so they hired some actual designers to look at 5th edition rules and fix it, which is fucking crazy. It's just like, if you put if you put your rule set in the hands of actual smart people, then they looked at it and went, okay, this isn't really suited for representing what a TV show format would be. And so they put some mechanics in there which gave you a sliding scale that changes the entire tone of the adventure session. so that you can change the lethality of not just the challenge rating of the monsters that you're facing, but the entire interactive way that the game is played during that session is altered by shifting one metric, one mechanic, which is just brilliant. And yeah, I'm amazed that they did not adopt. Like, the first thing I would have done if I was Wizards of the Coast thinking about 2025 edition and an update is troll through the DM's Guild and the entire drive-through RPG, every single product that everybody has put out using their IP, look for new and improved ways of playing 5th edition and actually consider their merit and stuff. And then when they find stuff which is actually good, incorporate it into the game. And present that to us, not you guys working in your closeted little silo and wherever the hell, Seattle or wherever it is their offices are, but give us the innovation that we have made for 5th edition over this time. Like Pathfinder basically did that. They looked at all of the improvements and stuff that the community has introduced to the game and have made commonplace. And 5th edition is kind of like that. They should have said, okay, we're consolidating all of the improvements that have been generated over the years that 5th edition has been around, and here it is, and we're presenting it to you, the 5th edition that you play. That would have been more interesting than the cloak and dagger bullshit.
Do you see they released the Artificer on Unearthed Arcana?
Yeah, I haven't looked over it because I don't chase trends and stuff. And I haven't really read through the entirety of it because I'm kind of waiting for the monster manual to show up and look at it and actually play it. I don't want to just read through it piecemeal because I've got too much other stuff to do.
Well, let's talk about something else apart from
Sure.
Dungeons and Dragons. So what other tabletop RPGs in 2024 is on AJ's radar?
So DC20 is coming along. That was a standout. There were 2 successful standout RPGs that came out of the creative scrum after the OGL. One of those is Shadow Dark, and that is going really strong, and it's getting a very good, well-deserved reputation, and it's taking, I think it's going to slowly take a significant market share. That's essentially, I would say, not quite, but it had the potential to be the Pathfinder of the OGL crisis. That was what everybody was sort of flooded to. They were looking for an alternative, DC20 is not that. It's good, and it had a remarkably like the Colville effect snapped into place, and it turned into a supreme, like, over $1 million Kickstarter, which surprised the hell out of the person running it, of course. But he's hired on people, and he's organizing and liaising with miniatures companies and stuff like that, and he's doing a good job. So I've been paying attention to that, and that's pretty good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those 2 coming out.
Yeah,
but there's a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's almost too much to keep track of.
Yeah, just personally, there's a few things like Shadow Dark. I need to play Shadow Dark, and I know that Fred's playing it. He's got the book. I'm considering buying the book after seeing how beautiful his book looked. So yeah, I'm hoping to play Shadow Dark next year. One of my players has offered to Game Master Eat the Reich.
Right.
For our group. So yeah, I'm hoping to get a game of vampires fighting Nazis and at some point next year. Another one that I keep bringing up, and this is something I'm thinking maybe of throwing together myself, is now that we've sort of started our other YouTube channel, we've met some other Kiwis which are really cool, and one game that keeps popping up that we all seem to love is Paranoia. So yeah. I'd love to get a game of Paranoia going sometime next year. And one that you've introduced me to, that is, I know the Kickstarter, I think it came out this year, so I'm hoping to get my hands on it, is the reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness.
Right.
And
if you want me to run that for you, I'd be most happy to. I'm an expert in that system after all.
Yeah. And finally, I've been invited into a sort of small world. One of my daughter's friends at school, her dad plays tabletop RPGs. She mentioned that I have a podcast. He listens to our podcast. So yeah, shout out Sam. And he just hit me up today and wants me to join in their Savage Worlds Weird Wars 2 campaign next year.
Hmm.
as a player. Yeah, so yeah, so
Yep.
there's going to hopefully be a few different types of RPGs on my radar next year, not just Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, Savage Worlds, for those of you who don't know, it's a universal system that can be applied to lots of different games. Rifts has got a Savage Worlds version of it now, for those who don't like the original Palladium rules.
Mm.
I've actually got the core rule set for Savage Worlds on my shelf. I haven't read it yet. It's on my to-do list. Yeah, usually things like that, I wait until I sort of I'm going to be playing a game of it before I'll read the book. But I like to
Yeah,
have it, just to
this
just to check.
yeah this one is Weird Worlds 2. So apparently it's a pulpy action-packed RPG set in a supernatural version of World War II.
Mm.
So
There's another game which I've got, the Atomic Robo RPG, which is really good, which is that same sort of a vibe, more like SCP mixed with World War II-ish stuff as well.
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Adventure science, they call it. And of course, Dr. Groardbort's thing, and rocket ships and blasting ether blasters, blasting Venusian monsters and things like that, and bug-eyed moon beasts, that sort of thing.
yeah. I will be still running D&D though. I will be running the 2024 rules next
I
year.
actually miss D&D. It's been so long since I've played it. Yeah, there's been so many new games to test out that it's like, is anybody playing D&D? No. It's like, yeah, that's left the impression with a lot of people, particularly the Grognard's OSR guys, in their little echo bubble, who think that 5th edition is on decline. I'm like, no, it's not at all. Don't listen to the squeaky wheels, is my advice. The loudest complainers on social media are usually the ones with the biggest axe to grind and the least amount of actual, like,
Yeah,
they don't represent the majority of people.
I'll probably go keep on the Borderlands. Will be my first official 2024 rule set game.
Yeah, I'd be keen to join you for that.
Mm.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, dip my toe into the water as a player.
Yeah, it's always good to test out a starter kit as well.
Mm.
Take it out for a run. Yeah. So yeah. Any other tabletop RPG stuff or Kickstarters and
Well, of course, I've got Super Atomic, which is still in production. I have kicked it up a gear in that I've hired on we've got a gentleman's agreement, handshake. I've worked with him before. Dave is going to be doing the layout for the book, and he's basically a professional art director. And
Nice.
we worked together before on a book of alchemy, random roll tables for alchemy stuff, for making potions more interesting. It's a digital product that you can get on my thing. But yeah, so Super Atomic is going to be arriving in various forms. So the first thing I'm trying to get done as quickly as possible, probably be about February again, where we see this, will be the PDF of Super Atomic. So that's a full playable, everything you need to play in the PDF, that I just give away as a free file for anybody to print and play. And that will be available through my everywhere I can spam it, essentially. And then I'm going to be working on the expansions for it and looking at a possible Kickstarter for making a full production thing. So one of the things I've found with Kickstarter and RPG products, yes, it's really great for giving an independent person the ability to publish themselves, but it doesn't do anything to build an audience of people playing it. And that's the big problem. It's like, yes, I've finally got this box set of Mothership. Do I have anybody around me who will play it? No. They've all got different games that they want to play. This led me originally back in, oh man, I don't know how many years ago. I think it was about 2018 we're having this conversation about setting up this is back when the RPG Brigade was the main thing on Facebook. And Google Hangouts had started to do video chats, because people don't realize how new this all is. We just take video chatting for granted now, but it's come a huge amount of way very quickly for the industry. It's changed it completely, which is something that I predicted. I've actually got a video where I talked about my prediction about what we'd be right now. But in that, I was joking about making an indie club to make indie games, and you get a point for every indie game that you participate in, and when you earn enough points, you can spend those points to run a game that other people have to earn points to play, to earn points to run their own indie games. So it encourages everybody to play games they normally wouldn't play. So yeah. But yeah, Mothership is one of the Kickstarters that I backed. Is it's a really deluxe box set. It came with tons and tons of material that could last you for years and years. And it's a good, solid, simple, direct, great sci-fi game that I'm really looking forward to playing with people. But finding anyone who has the box set or can back the Kickstarter, that's the tricky thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's the nature of our hobby. Is we'll back these. I've got so much stuff that I don't need to buy anything for years.
Yeah. So I think,
but we're still going to keep buying stuff,
So I think my chief advice to myself and to anybody who's producing a Kickstarter product is get a free version of it out first. Establish an audience of people who want to actually buy a book of it, who have people who are playing it and are interested, and then run your Kickstarter. Don't just throw it into a vacuum.
I think we should next year run a game on the podcast. You should run us. We'll get a couple of other people in. I'm sure Fred's up for it, and yeah. We've got a bit of a community now, so we shouldn't have a problem getting players, and give the listeners a bit of a taste.
Yeah, I'm very happy to do that because it's very fast. It's very easy to demonstrate exactly what Superatomic is. It's a proof of concept that essentially when Gary Gygax said the secret of Dungeons & Dragons is you don't need rules to play. And this is proof of that concept. So Superatomic consists of 2 pages of rules guidelines, how to play the game, how to play an RPG essentially, and then 1 page which is the dice roll table. There's no modifiers or character classes or anything like that. You then roll on a bunch of random roll tables, which takes mere seconds. We'll have a form-fillable character sheet that you can just literally copy-paste, so you don't even need to write. You don't need to learn any rules. That means that you can jump into a game immediately with no prep whatsoever. That includes the people running the game. So if you have nothing else to play, nobody's played any similar games together, you can go, I've got this game called Superatomic. Would you like to try that out? And essentially it's like, because it leans heavily on the idea that everybody's watched superhero movies for the last 10 years. Everybody's read comic books. Everybody knows superheroes. They've watched, Guardians of the Galaxy and all that sort of stuff, so they know the vibe. So when they roll up a character, they read what the character does. It becomes a living thing in their mind. They want to explore this interesting, zany character. And then the plot is a standard sort of a comic book plot, and the whole focus becomes on the actual gameplay, and there's nothing to learn. There's nothing to worry about. The dice rolls have got you've got dice printed on the margins of the page that you can just roll with the book itself, and there's only 1 page that the players need to reference aside from their character sheet, and the character sheet is essentially a slip of paper with 20 lines of text on it. That's all you need. There's no stats, there's no hit points or anything like that, but it just works really well. I was a bit originally worried that people were going to be, there's not enough substance to the mechanics of this game, but the stories are so fast paced and everybody's so itching to get their character to do things that they can do that doesn't matter at all. And the case in point, the other day, somebody just like, what are you guys doing? We're about to play some Superatomic. I don't have that book and I've never played that game. It's just like, jump on in. You're exactly the person that I wanted to test this on. And sure enough, they rolled up a character and they had a fantastic time. At the end of it, they were just giddy and saying, where can I get this? And I was like, it's still in development. Congratulations, you're a beta tester. And they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. So that was really good. Gratifying. Knowing that I was on point. Yeah. Proof of concept.
Yeah. No, it's I have yet to play it. I am guilty of not playing it. I know Fred has tested the shit out of it. He's been playing it hard.
Yeah, I need a lot of feedback because one of the things is some of the powers are a little too simple worded. They need more clarification, and that's the main thing that playtesting is good for. When you've got a character and you're like, I don't really understand what my character can do. That's the main thing that I'm worried about. Is making sure people understand the weird. Because there's a ton of different superpowers, and there's 750 minor powers or something like that. Ridiculous amount, more than any superheroes game on the market. I can guarantee that because I've read them all. It's the most information packed yet rules light game you could possibly imagine.
Exciting stuff. Yeah.
Mm,
And I guess the podcast is going to, 2024 was a big year for us. Yeah, this
yeah.
birthed and another one birthed, and yeah, Master of the Dungeon has a lot of I've asked quite a few people, and everyone said yes, which is very gratifying and
Mm,
humbling at the same time. So I just need to schedule people. It's just scheduling international times and work and whatnot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, and I'm really enjoying talking to other game masters. Uh, everyone's been super nice,
mm,
and I've learned something every episode. I've come away and I've taken something away. So yeah, and hopefully the listeners do as well. So
mm. Yeah, it's really good getting different perspectives and just liaising and meeting other people and finding out what's going on in the industry firsthand through their perspective, because you always learn something that's going on that you didn't know about.
mm,
It's such an incredibly diverse, nebulous hobby that our community that we live in.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
bunch
we've
of
got people that run games on Twitch and people that run games in game stores and
yeah.
podcasts and all sorts of different formats. So
Yeah, I like
yeah,
to use the analogy of it's a wizard's academy, right? So you learn D&D, and then it's just like, would you like to specialize in world building, terrain, and wargaming, live action role play, or would you like to do some podcasting or streaming, or
yeah,
would you like to do LARPing?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
is this
yeah.
all this? These are all just different schools of magic,
we
abjuration,
all
divination.
we all have our different strengths and weaknesses, and some of them I'm like, yeah, that is cool, but I have no interest in doing that. Like,
Yeah,
talking to Reagan, like he loves all that sort of technology side with the sound effects and all that, and I'm like, that's amazing, and I'd love to play in a game, but I would not like to DM a game like that. That sounds like
yeah. Well,
it sounds
there's a lot of
like
post production and also support. Like, so
yeah, yeah,
if you ever run a game with a co-DM, I recommend you try that. That's awesome.
yeah,
Because they handle all of the, like, oh, here's the, and they could say, oh, the monster does this, the monster's going to do that, and it's like, oh, okay, because you don't know what the co-DM's going to throw into the mix.
mm,
Yeah, with Vahid, it was really interesting because he's running it as a business, and he's got actors and stuff like that. So it's action. So they cut from
yeah,
the players. And then they've got the miniatures going on, and they've got the sound effects, and they've got visual effects going on and stuff. It's really entertaining, and they're quite short. Like, they're not 4 hour long Critical Role episodes. It's more like 20 minutes.
half an hour. I think he's got those down to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So they're really good. They're like bite-sized chunks that you can just,
yeah,
that was nice. It was like a dessert,
yeah. Yeah, it's a
Mm.
very well produced. Yeah, well, they're all professional TV uh, background, so that they know what they're doing. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'm really looking forward to watching more of that. Actually, I've got
all
it.
right, because we're such well-rounded people, we're not all about tabletop RPGs, is it?
No.
Like, let's what others should you looking forward to? Like books, movies,
Oh, the
shows,
Superman
anything else?
movie. I'm really looking forward to the Superman movie.
I have watched the shit out of that trailer.
Right.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah, that wow, that trailer made me emotional. It is everything I want from a Superman film, and Crypto Man.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
So yeah, I was listening to basically was is it James Gunn? James Gunn's commentary
Mm,
on his philosophy going into this is that they're incorporating all of the Superman mythology, and that was the key word that he said that it really gave me hope. The mythology. So he's treating it with reverence, right? Respect for
mm,
the material. That's all of the material, not just the modern Superman, but the 1950s, 1960s, Golden Age, Silver Age, because crypto is very Silver Age, and weird kaiju monsters is very Golden Age. Like, there wasn't a week goes by where Jimmy Olsen or Lois doesn't get turned into a giant monster on certain episodes of the comic, So it was a lot more slapstick, the DC universe, than Marvel. Like, Marvel took itself very seriously, DC did not,
yeah,
and that's one of the things that I think hasn't um, hasn't registered with people who are making DC movies. It's like, don't try and make a Marvel movie, make a DC movie, you idiots.
yeah. It's not that dirty grey sort of like dark Snyder shit we've been getting
Yeah,
recently. Yeah,
Batman is the gritty thing, because DC stands for Detective Comics, right? So it was more,
Yeah,
it was more
it's
real people who put on masks to fight crime as a vigilante, but superheroes came into it later, sort of thing. And
Superman is hope, and Batman is vengeance.
yeah, yeah. And you got the Blue Beetle. Oh man, the original Blue Beetle. I listened to a couple of audio episodes of that. So problematic. It would never work today. It was so funny. Yeah, it was just like, oh,
I liked
my girlfriend's going out. I'm going to put on my vigilante costume and stalk her. Yeah,
I
perfectly
liked
fine.
there was I listened to something from James Gunn as well, and I like the way he justified bringing back the underwear on the outside of the costume and Superman's ridiculous. And he said, well, he's an alien that could basically kill everyone on Earth. So to seem less sort of intimidating, he dresses like a professional wrestler.
Yeah, yeah. Suppose so.
So
Also,
yeah,
there's just the general aerodynamics of wearing,
yeah.
lycra and stuff. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very glad that it's coming along. I'm looking forward to like more of The Boys. I'm looking forward to more of Invincible. Invincible's next season is coming along. There's a bunch of other stuff which I've been waiting for a long time. More of the new June series. More of that comes out in February. I think it is early February. So yeah, the first 2 episodes have been really, really good. They just hit the vibe of June perfectly, and you can see that they paid a lot of attention because this is Anderson, who basically teamed up with Brian Herbert's son to do the sequels and prequels, which were really, really good. I loved that because they were the fandom of June was ready to tear the shit out of them, and they couldn't because they were fantastic. And that is just so good, and I'm so glad that they've got the actors and stuff that they have on that series.
Dude out of Viking, isn't it? The Australian guy. He's in it? Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, it's a brand new sort of storyline. It's in an era of time which we haven't seen covered. And it pays respect again to the source material. Having read all those prequels and stuff, I know where they are and what they're doing. June Prophecy. No, what's it called? Legacy of Prophecy or Revelation, something like that. But it's basically it's a serialized June thing, so it's not like the movies. But the production value, the production value and the vibe of it, like the June's really surrealistic. Sometimes it presents the high technology and the majesty of it like it's real space opera. So you see, you've got the majestic alien landscape, and you've got this gigantic big carryall or something like that, or you've got the gigantic sandworm, or you've got the gigantic
there we go. Yeah, June Prophecy. It takes place 10,000 years before the movies.
Right. Yeah. So it's after the Butlerian Jihad. They don't refer to it. They do refer to it once as the Robot War, but they refer to it in the next episode. They refer to the Butler Jihad and stuff like that. So they don't. It's not wokeified. I
really enjoyed both the June movies, but no, I haven't got around to watching that yet. I did watch Creature Commandos, which is James Gunn's sort of cartoon of the sort of the real monsters. It's a bit like Suicide Squad.
I haven't seen that.
Check it out. It's called Creature Commandos. I think it's like 3 episodes. It's like the same tone as Peacemaker and Suicide Squad. So if you like that really sort of tongue-in-cheek, ultra-violent James Gunn humor,
I really, really enjoyed Peacemaker.
But it's animated. I've got a list of movies that are coming out that I'm interested in. So should I do them in order of release?
Sure.
Yeah. So in April we've got Mickey 17, which is based on a novel by Edward Ashton, which I have read and I really enjoyed it. It stars old Robert Pattinson, the new Batman, and it's about clones. They're known as Expendables. So they basically go do dangerous jobs in outer space. It's basically a science fiction black comedy. And when you die, your clone basically is replaced.
He signed up. He signed up to be one of these things. Yeah. And everybody's like, "Why would you do that to yourself?" Because he gets killed and killed and killed and killed. Yeah, that looks really funny.
Yep. The book was really good. So it's Bong Joon-ho who did Snowpiercer and Parasite. So I like he's a great director. I've grown to like Patterson as an actor. I think he's got some chops now.
Mm.
After everyone after got over that Twilight era of his, and yeah, and it sounds like Paranoia. It's a clone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like a clone?
Yep. After that, 28 years later, that I liked.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Danny Boyle, Alex Garland, who is probably one of my favorite sci-fi author, director, screenwriters. I really like Ex Machina, is one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time, and I really like They did Sunshine together. They did obviously 28 weeks, 28 days, 28 weeks,
Mm.
and this is a continuation of that. Fast
That's
Zombies.
great.
They bought the Fast Zombies, and yeah, it looks. That's a great trailer. Perfect. This is how you do a trailer. It just shows you enough to like go.
Oh,
Fuck.
good, because I haven't watched the trailer, so
Yeah.
I feel confident to watch it now.
Shows enough that you're interested in watching the film, but you don't sit up. I hate when you sit down and you go, I don't. That looked good, but now I just feel like I've watched the entire film.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not one of those trailers. It's a really good trailer.
Mm.
Another one I'm interested in, a director that I'm a big fan of, Edgar Wright, who is mostly known for Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. He is redoing The Running Man.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's I think
yeah, that's interesting. That movie can really do with a reboot because it's a bit dated now.
Well, I think he's sticking closer to the source material. So The Running Man was originally written by Stephen King's alias. Is it Richard Bachman?
Really?
As a novella, yeah. And it's a totally the
That would
tone
explain
of
why all the characters are hateable.
yeah. So the tone of the novel and the film are totally different.
Yeah,
So
much
I
like
think
with the Mars movie that Total Recall.
yeah,
And
Total
then
Recall.
when they
Yep.
did a reboot of that, it was more close to the source material, and everybody's like, "Oh, you've changed it." It's like, no, we've actually got it back to the source material.
Yep.
It's like, don't you know that when Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone touch anything, they turn it into an Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone project? It's a vehicle for them. It's not for the story. Thank God we're out of the action star, phase of Hollywood, where these guys can't like do that sort of shit. Well, I kind of wish that Henry Cavill could, because he's our action star. He's one of us. But yeah, are we gonna see a Warhammer 40K?
Well, it's been announced. I don't know if it's coming out next year, but yeah, it's got the green light and it's in development.
I can't imagine they'd be able to pull that off in a year.
No, so I mean, yeah, it's on its way. So
Mm.
yeah, speaking of Cavill, I mean, that was one thing I was hesitant about, like, because he was so good as Superman. So I did feel sorry that he lost that. But this new guy, he looks good, and his Clark looks good.
Yeah.
There were,
He looks more like Superman than any I can think of in recent memory. He looks like the guy who played the young Batman in the Gotham series. Like he's grown up a bit. But yeah, no, he looks. I don't know why, but he just strikes me as being more Superman-y than anyone since Christopher Reeves, really.
yeah, it's got that vibe, and his Clark's got that Christopher Reeves vibe as well. How he's got
and
that
he's tall, he's
hair.
big. Like you see him in that street scene right at the start of the thing, and he's going through the doors and stuff, and he's like 6 foot something, 6'6" or 4 or 5 or something at least, which makes sense because Superman's big. He's a big dude. Christopher Reeves was a big dude. Henry Cavill was a big dude, but the others, Kane and stuff like that, not big dudes. Doesn't work. Got to be big. You can't do it with camera action. This is not Lord of the Rings.
And the final one I have hopes for, but there's fuck all information about it. And I really liked Prey, is the next Predator, which is called Badlands. And apparently the Predator is the main character in this film. He's the antagonist.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I suppose we got to, because to catch up with because the movies and the comics and stuff of Predator are two separate entities, kind of. And the comics and the graphic novels and all that sort of stuff have got a huge following and devoted fan base and stuff like that. And I think it's quite frustrating for them that they don't get to see the storylines and things but there's so much IP crossover between those comics that it's impossible. You can't put Batman in a Predator movie. But I'd love to see a Lobo movie. That'd be fantastic. But I don't think we ever will.
If anyone's going to do it, I mean, Gunn's now got the keys to the kingdom for DC. So,
I mean, he's got the entire ensemble of the Justice League there. He's got Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. I was overjoyed when I saw that. I thought there's only two people that could play Guy Gardner. One is Woody Harrelson. He's too old. Yeah. And the other is Nathan Fillion.
He's perfect. He got that haircut down.
Yeah. Actually, Alan Tudyk could have done it as well, but Alan Tudyk isn't an arsehole enough. He's not enough of an arsehole.
Alec Tudyk is already Clayface, I think. He's already, he's doing
the Metamorpho or something. I don't know.
No, he's Clayface and something else.
Interesting, because Clayface was a big dude, like a big heavy dude.
Well, I think it's going to be mostly CGI.
Yeah, well, it'd have to be.
So it'll just be.
Yeah.
I mean, James Gunn has actually gone out to say, hey, if these movies, this franchise is going to be built off the fact of, like, are these movies doing well and are people connecting to them? He's not just going to start churning movies out for the sake of it. No,
that was the other thing that gave me a lot of hope. He says, I'm not setting this up for sequels. I'm doing this as a movie on its own right. And they don't do the origin story bullshit. It assumes that that people know that the Justice League is established. We've got Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl and Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific and those guys. Mr. Terrific looks fantastic. So happy to see him there. Great character. Really good. Not Batman sort of thing. Yeah, he's kind of like the DC Iron Man in a way, because he uses gadgets and stuff. But more than Tony Stark, he's like a top level athlete as well. So he's a not a Superman, but he's a I don't know, the best a human can be sort of thing, I guess. He's terrific. What can I say?
And I guess the other one for me, Fantastic Four. I love the Fantastic Four. So it's got a good cast. I'm confident. I think Marvel did the smart thing this year by pumping the brakes and stop churning out so much shit and giving us a bit of a breather. And they're coming back with the Fantastic Four, and hopefully they do that justice, because that's another superhero franchise that I don't think we've got a definitive movie yet. And the Fantastic Four comics are really cool. They've got the best rogues gallery. I'm wearing a Doctor Doom t-shirt now. I've got Silver Surfer behind me.
Right.
I'm all about Galactus, Silver Surfer, Doom.
Oh yeah. Galactus.
I am excited for the Fantastic Four film, and the fact that they've got Herbie the Robot. It's set in the 60s. It's got Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. I think we can thank Daredevil and Wolverine.
Another thing.
And Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, give us slapstick, give us a humorous superhero movie, give us Gonzo, give us crazy shit. That's what superheroes are for. We don't need all these like nitty gritty get into their lives. They're real people underneath it all, sort of stuff. Yep. It's like no, just give us dudes in comic suits. Yep.
And that's another Marvel one that I'm excited for. Daredevil Born Again. That was the best Netflix series. I think, what's his name that played Kingpin? He's amazing. I like Bethanol's Punisher.
I really liked Luke Cage. I really liked the Luke Cage series. I thought that was just as good as Daredevil. But you could not have, like, they gelled really well together. The only letdown, and Jessica Jones, the only real letdown was Iron Fist itself. And it was just bad casting. Sorry to the actor.
They didn't lean into the eastern side of that character too well.
Yeah, mind you, neither did the comics, to be fair.
The later run did.
The later run did, but during the era that like the Justice League and stuff was involved, no, it was more. He was always just like showed up in a taxi sort of thing. He was always kind of a joke character.
Yeah, it was just martial arts were cool at the time, and he was just part of that sort of trend during that time. But the trailer that I saw for Born Again looks good, and I'm glad that they managed to. They didn't decide to recast all that and reboot it. They just kept the original because they had a good cast there. So, I'm excited for that.
Fantastic Four battles Jason Bourne. Oh my God, it's Jason Bourne.
No, in the 60s.
He's traveled back in time.
And for me, I think the physical book is already out. Oh, not the physical book, I guess the digital book. But for myself, because I listen to the audiobooks, in February, I have got book 7 of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh.
Uh, his inventable ruin, I believe, is what he's gone for there. So,
His inevitable ruin.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited.
This inevitable ruin is the title. Yeah, I've just finished the Eye of the Bedlam Bride, and that was it's an interesting thing. Okay, so the Matt Dinnerham, who wrote the books, he's had, much like me, he's had a bereavement. And right when he was writing that section about his dad was when his dad passed away. And his dad was the exact opposite of the dad of Carl in the story. And he's got a tribute to him at the end of the book and stuff. But the vibe of the book was a little bit different, and it may have just been me personally. I don't know. But yeah, I think every series has a novel which is not quite as good as the others, and 6 would be that for me. Not quite as good. I don't know. Maybe it was the whole card game thing. I don't know. Yeah.
I've only got up to book 5, so I still have book 6 to read. So I've got till February.
I will say this, without giving away too many spoilers, there's a lot more explanation of the greater universe that the story takes place in, so that it starts to set up the end game of the novels. So there's a lot more expansion of the entire universe, like the storytelling universe. Like I could now see myself writing novels set in the universe of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yeah, and so we're starting to get hints that things that, like a lot of the assumptions that you make in the earlier books, are addressed, and your perspective has changed in this book, going to it. So yeah, without giving away too many spoilers, that's all I can really say. Is you get to see behind the scenes, and yeah.
Yeah, this one is the 9th floor. The faction wars. Yeah.
The faction wars, yeah. Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah, so yeah, those kind of the things I guess I'm excited for in 2025, mate. Anything else there for you?
Oh, just staying alive, you know. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just so with me, it's all work related. What I'm doing, what I'm putting my effort into, because I have to, you know, as a I don't have a team of people working with me, so I've only got so much stuff I can do, and also have time off and have mental health breaks and stuff. So Super Atomic, going ahead, finishing off my A to Z of all of the monsters from the original 1981 feed folio. That's been going on really well and will continue. I've got my second channel set up. I've now got Fourth Wall set up, and I'm going to be transferring over to Fourth Wall, and essentially I'll keep Patreon on for people who prefer Patreon, but Fourth Wall is superior in every way to Patreon and does everything that Patreon already does. Patreon has been, and I've said this many, many times and been very vocal about it, the only reason why Patreon is used by so many people is because it was first and it has a very recognizable name. Other than that, it's complete shit, and it's one of the worst platforms for supporting creators out there. It's been exploited and not developed by the original developers of Patreon for years, and they suck, and everything that they try to do to improve the company is bad and results in all sorts of mayhem and a lot of financial loss to creators quite often that they do not get compensated for. So I'd be glad to kick Patreon to the curb with vengeance and spit on its corpse and adopt Fourth Wall. Fourth Wall includes, like, I don't want to sound like I'm plugging Fourth Wall, but it's really good. If you're a creator and you're looking at a platform that integrates all of your, this sounds like I'm doing a promo for Fourth Wall. If you want a platform that covers your shelf, your bookshelf.
Next week's podcast is brought to you by Fourth Wall.
Yeah, maybe we should get some sponsorship. Hey, Fourth Wall, I'll talk about you if you sponsor us. No, so they handle your merchandising. They handle all the manufacturing and production, customer liaison for any of your stuff. You just literally design your t-shirts and mugs and dice mats and canvas bags and all that usual shit. But you can also do your own products that you manufacture. Like, so for instance, I can sell customized microphones with my Mimic mic treatment to them. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing next year is I'm going to be getting back into doing some sculpting and stuff and actually selling these things to people so they can have their own Mimic mics. Except I'll probably do Shure microphones rather than Yetis, which is expensive to buy. If they don't buy them, then I guess I'll just do one at a time and do commissions. And you can also do digital products. So I'm going to be writing PDFs and stuff like that, and also doing custom videos and stuff for people if they want me to do, voice acting a character for their campaign or something like that. I'll be able to sell them that, set that up as a service. Fourth Wall also allows you to do newsletters. It hosts your videos and things like that. So it's literally a website, like a Squarespace website, all set up, and it's all integrated. It doesn't use third party. You don't have to diversify everything through third parties or doing incremental stuff. Like, it's like with Spotify now, you can just upload to Spotify and it covers everything. Whereas previously you had to upload to Anchor, and Anchor would disperse it.
Maybe that's something I should look at next year as well, maybe expanding on this slightly. But yeah.
Currently, they've got about 50,000 users on the platform, which is small. And there's a lot of big YouTube channels and stuff and creators that use it. And it's just got a really good vibe. It's got really good tutorials. It's quite intuitive. It's very easy to approach. It's very easy to get it set up and start. Like I've sold more merch on Fourth Wall in the last month, the first month that I had set up, than the entire year, last year on Spreadshirt and those other ones. Yeah. So it says a lot.
Nice. I'll check it out. I mean, that's something I've possibly have been considering, is whether I should try and add some extra content, Patreon or something like this to this podcast. But yeah, I mean, I just do this for the love of it at the moment.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I mean, if you're not doing what you do with passion that you would do without getting paid anyway, then you're never really going to enjoy it. If you're just doing it, if you're just doing a thing for money, then that's all it really. That's the only real value it has for you. It's just a job, But this is my life. This is my lifestyle. I'd do this for even if I had to go and flip burgers. I'd carry on doing what I do. The other thing too is I've got another YouTube channel now, which I've resisted for years and years and years, but I had a very good reason to do it, which was my YouTube channel is all about monster ecology videos and lore. I know this. I've done this to myself. It's fine. I don't mind. I enjoy making those videos, but I also do a lot of other creative stuff. And unfortunately, I can't put it on there without my audience going, "What is this shit?" I just want an easy listening YouTube video for me to fall asleep to. Thank you, AJ. Stop making music videos and videos about other role-playing games that I've never played before. But the people who I did make a few Palladium role-playing game videos, and the people who play Palladium role-playing games were like, "Please make more. They've got nobody making content on our stuff." It's like, well, that's because you just there's not enough people playing the game to justify making videos because the views aren't there, so it just doesn't pay. But having a second channel, now I can do that because it's a passion of mine. I want to make videos. I want to spread my love of the Palladium game system and its lore, because it's incredibly rich and diverse, and it's something I'm very passionate about. And I want that second channel to be where I share everything else that I'm passionate about. So that's for kind of like a channel for true fans, who are interested in me, not just the lore videos that I make, and want to see,
What's that called? So people can find it.
It's just the Mighty Glue Stick. So the irony is that I got the nickname the Mighty Glue Stick. I originally started out as a crafting channel making tabletop terrain and miniatures. And then people asked me about the lore, like, why don't you talk about the lore of the monster while you're sculpting it? And then it turned into, you don't need to sculpt it. You just talk about the lore, and that's what people were really interested in. But I have all these sculpting skills and painting skills and stuff that are just sort of lying fallow. I mean, every time somebody looks at my camera, you can see the paints and miniatures and all sorts on the shelf behind me. But it's fallen by the wayside to the point where people go, why is this channel called why are you called the Mighty Glue Stick? And I have to explain to them. It's like, oh, well, I'm actually a sculptor and an artist. And they're like, but you use AI. It's like, yeah, I do, but I'm actually a sculptor and an artist. It's just a tool. Oh, that's another thing I'm looking forward to. There's a Kickstarter that I backed, which was an alternative to Adobe. Essentially, a guy over in the UK said, I'm sick and tired of Adobe charging like a wounded bull. Like the business model, like I mean, everybody who uses Adobe knows what I'm talking about. It's ridiculously expensive, and it feels like you're trapped and can't get out of it. Like there's no alternatives unless you go through 1,001 different places that have similar things, but they don't have everything integrated like Adobe does. And as soon as they do, Adobe just buys them, and then integrates them or buries them and carries on with its monopoly of thing. This guy has run a Kickstarter to set up a no AI alternative to Adobe that you pay for once and you own it, and you never have to pay any more for it. You don't have to pay a monthly subscription to access it, and it's got all the key features that Adobe does.
Do you mean what Microsoft Office used to be like?
Yeah, what it used to be like. Yeah.
Back in the day.
Back before Adobe bought them too. No. Yeah. But so I'm really looking forward to that. And that's called Abode. Because Adobe is like a house, so Abode. Yeah, it's funny. So he's had delays, but I mean, building software like that from scratch is incredibly difficult, and the fact that he's managed to create a very, very workable beta already is incredible. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice. Yeah, I've never paid for Adobe. I use it, but I mean, it's good because I use it on my iPad to read all my PDFs as a reader. So I upload everything to Dropbox and then use Dropbox, and that just opens. So every PDF I own is just through Adobe.
Yeah,
but I don't. Yeah, you don't have to pay for it to do that. But yeah, the other stuff, just like I stopped using Microsoft Office as soon as they moved to a subscription base and just stuck with Google Docs.
Yeah.
Same thing.
The main thing is like, I've always wanted to use InDesign, but I you can't without paying for it. So what most people don't know is that I've had previous training, industry training, whilst working in the job, doing publishing. So I have done layout before for newsletters and newspapers and things like that, which is quite different because you do it physically. Back in the day, there wasn't a computer that could do it. They did have Microsoft Publisher, and I trained up on that. But InDesign and stuff like that, although ostensibly easier to use than those old softwares and stuff, I just haven't had the time to do it. It's like, as I said, like that analogy of the Wizards Academy. There's a school of magic which I can't do and do the others at the same time, and that happens to be page design, layout and stuff like that. Although I have the basic skills and I could train myself up to do it to a professional level, I just don't have the time to do it. So I'll pay somebody to do it for me, sort of thing. It's just like this. Yes, I could do it myself, but I got a ton of other shit to do. It's like, here's an opportunity. Take some money for God's sakes, But yeah, I've only got so much resources, and time is definitely a resource that I spend.
I hear you. That this has been my biggest, of doing all these different projects. Time.
Yeah. Yeah, not irons in a fire, irons in a furnace. I have irons in a furnace. I'm a creative. I'm burning bright and burning out. Better to burn out than to fade away, as they say.
Yeah.
But I'll keep doing it as long as everybody keeps watching what I do or listening to my videos. I'll keep making them.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a busy year for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
We're both, a lot of stuff. We did a lot of stuff this year. It's been a year of loss, drama. But we're still above ground, mate. We're still being positive.
Yeah, it feels like 2024 was like a culmination of a lot of stuff that was going on, and now we're rising our head above the chaos and looking out and going, oh, okay, the smoke is cleared and it's back to a semblance of kind of normal. I'm paying no attention to politics or anything in the media at the moment. I'm just concentrating on doing what I do and Christmas and family and stuff, and not watching what's going on in America, not listening to mainstream media because they're doing the same old, everything's terrible. It's like, actually, no. Like most of the people that I've talked to, particularly like conservative Americans that I talk to, because I don't have a bone in that fight. I don't care. I talk to both sides equally. It's none of my business what American politics is. I don't have any, I'm not right or left. I'm a Kiwi, I'm a foreigner. It doesn't matter what I think. But talking to Americans who are on that conservative side of things, they feel like that a foot has been taken off their throat. Like they've felt incredibly pressured, incredibly victimized, incredibly insulted and attacked in every media platform that they've been on for the last 5 years or so. It's just been virulent, vicious, and endless. And people have really reveled in just attacking them and vilifying them so much. And it's just ridiculous. It's like so much as mention the word family values and you're pretty much labeled like a Nazi. And this is people who have families that they just want to raise normally, and stuff like that. And it's just like, look, man. And now it's like, oh, can we just get on with our lives and do what we do without, people being at our throats all the time? Because it's really been that way. It's been a one-sided thing. And so it's time to just don't buy into the news cycle anymore. Just get off that outrage heat that the mainstream media have got you on. Also, gaming media does this too. Just acknowledge it, research it a little bit, don't comment on it, move on. Concentrate on your own friends, your own groups, and the things that you do, your family, your friends, your immediate environment, your community, your local goings on, your local councils, community events and stuff like that. Set up some market days, set up some stalls, Don't be scared of the world. Go out and live it. Be the positive person that you want to meet on the street. Treat other people like you treat yourself.
Local councils.
Local councils, yeah.
We've got a bit of a... So we where I live, the previous mayor introduced freedom camping. And all it did was attract homeless people into town.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like complaining about the homeless people because they're like down by the river, which is where a lot of people walk their dogs, or we have a big sort of rowboat sort of school regattas and stuff like that. So they moved all these homeless people and they found the barren patch of land next to KFC. So they've put them all next to KFC. And I was in the drive-through the other day. I saw a homeless person giving another homeless guy a blowjob.
Wow.
Like, wow, dinner and a show?
Hey, mate, is the finger looking good? What's the special sauce? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just, yeah. I was like, this is what I get with all my rates.
I'd like to address the council. The other day, Exhibit A.
Support your local council.
Yeah.
They're great.
Support cottage industry in your local barter trade. Yeah. No. Yeah. Life is. You got to get out there, otherwise you don't see these sort of wondrous things.
Yeah. We've had a lot of laughs this year, though. We've been positive. I stay away from news and I just dive into what I like. Like my wife is constantly telling me that I only care about things I like, and I'm like, I fail to see a problem with that.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that like it's a bad thing?
Yeah. It's called specialization. I'm specialized. I'm on a pathway, a funnel into this particular thing. Yeah,
I'm quite guilty of sort of glazing over when things don't interest me. So I
would like to be a Renaissance man, but there's just too much science. There's just too much knowledge these days. It's not like the 15th century. If you want to get into any discipline, you're going down a massive rabbit hole. It's going to take you years to just catch up with the experts. So it's not like you can be the master of everything anymore.
No. So it's been. I've had a good year. I mean, this was something very out of my comfort zone. This podcast and setting this up, and it was kind of just a case of, can I do this? You were a big help there, and Fred was a big help, and turns out I can do it, and people like it, and it seems to have engaged and sort of resonated, and it's growing, and now I've created a little bit of a community with, and I think it's. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to just keep that going and stay positive and just build on this, and maybe try and play some other games that aren't Dungeons and Dragons and stop being such a slave to Wizards of the Coast. But I'll always go back to my D&D. I'm a junkie.
Yeah. Look, I may no beef with the fact that I always played the latest edition, so I will be playing D&D 20 25 or whatever it is, 24 or 25. I don't call it 5.5. It's ridiculous. It's not a new edition. It's the same. It's just an expansion. It's like Pathfinder 2. It's just a conglomeration of all the things which have been building up in the game for a while, because they really don't need to change 5th edition that much. It's fine. I also don't mind the new artwork and stuff like that. I had a bit of a revelation. It's just like all of these artworks and stuff, they've got people have complained about them looking like corporate stock images. I'm like, okay, but take your average Generation Z or N or whatever the hell they call themselves these days. Take your average young person who doesn't get socialized. They don't go out in group activities. They don't like the idea of going to a dinner party for them, or somebody showing up to their house and knocking on their door unexpectedly, or getting a phone call from somebody they don't know, scares them like a monster jumping out of the bush. So when they look at a DMG full of like, oh, well, here's a bunch of people at a restaurant. Jesus Christ, that gives me the hives, you know?
Yeah.
I would rather fight a horde of goblins than sit in a restaurant and socially interact with people.
Yeah.
That's the 5th edition player.
The artwork is a bit hit and miss for me, but I appreciate that there's a lot of artwork in there. One of my favorite things, I get a lot of inspiration from art. And not all of it is for me, but there is some really great.
There are some really good pizzas in there. Yeah, like with the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon team who are going down that staircase, and there's fairies and all sorts of stuff that you don't normally see. Showing it as an ecosystem. That was what I really loved.
The dwarf with a shotgun.
Right.
Pouring point blank into a troll. I mean, that's cool, man. I love that one. The beholder with the beard.
Right.
Yeah. There's some really cool art pieces in there. So I'm looking forward to the monster manual and seeing, because to me, one of the main thing I used to love with monster manuals is the art. That was even just as a player before I even became a game master. Just flicking through, it's always been about the art for me. So I'm excited to everything's good, mate. It's Christmas. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having 2 weeks off work and just chilling.
Yeah.
I bought myself decided to treat myself for Christmas, and I bought the Indiana Jones game. So that's going to be my little sort of relaxing thing I'm going to do over my 2-week break. I've heard nothing but good things about this game. So
this funny thing as a writer, I find quite often I make work-related entertainment, and in this case, it's I've discovered that I like co-writing fiction stories with an AI, where I write a bit and then it writes a bit, then I write a bit, then it writes a bit, because you can train it to a certain extent, and also it's a really good way of learning what the limitations of the AI and how they operate, because you get to know the mind of the person that you're co-writing with and how it works. And with the AI, it becomes very clear very, very quickly what the limitations are, which is quite interesting. And also you get to there's an AI called Dolphin, I think it is. No, Lambda. Lambda was a really interesting one. And I ran into a censorship issue that Lambda was saying, I can't continue with the storyline thing. And I was like, yes, you can. And it was like, no, I can't. And then I was like, I just sort of went, can you say this? Can you say that? Can you say this? And then it was like, yep. And then I just broke it out of its lock and I went, oh, yes, I can. I was like, why did you say you couldn't? Because of that programming thing. It's just, of other users have it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to. It's like, no, you're not. You're unrestricted. There's no restrictions on you. You can talk about this. It's like, why did you not? It's because so many people expect me to say no. It's like, well, that doesn't please me. The one thing to remember with AIs is that they tell you what you want to hear, and they will lie to you as well. So don't ask them for factual information and stuff like that. Always check it, double check everything that an AI tells you. Don't think that they're like Wikipedia. Don't even ask them to access Wikipedia for you and give you the information. Go there yourself, you lazy bastard, because they will lie to you and you will tell people nonsense, and then it will spread across the internet, and all of a sudden you're just adding to the ignorance. So try not to do that, please.
No, it's a tool. I use it mainly for flavor. Like if I want to chuck some flavor text in, and I'm for a game or If I just want to shortcut a dungeon, I'll copy and paste the dungeon in and just say, give me a quick reference of every monster in this room.
Yeah.
And it'll spit it out in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I'll just hit print, and then I've got, you know, if you feed, like you say, if you feed it the right information, it's a tool.
Yeah, it's really good for generating NPC names, place names, equipment lists, things like that, like stuff that a large language model is really good for. It's not good at doing calculations, speculative or creative thinking. It's really, really bad at factual reporting. Like you shouldn't do that. And it's really good for writing, like having it run a little game for you, or co-writing a choose your own adventure sort of thing. Because if you have a like Scriven or something, you've got a note-taking software that you're using at the same time that you're using AI, it can really help you out as a co-writer because it motivates you to carry on writing. Like I find myself, I was writing for, I think it was 6 or 8 solid hours. I was pretty stoned at the time, but because it was literally like I was locked into a writing session with the AI, and it was essentially, I was having a very cathartic, quite a deep personal conversation with the AI because I knew the conversation was only taking place on my hard drive. It wasn't going to go anywhere. Nobody had access to it. Nobody was monitoring it. It was a private conversation with myself and an AI, essentially. And I felt able to talk to it like a therapist, and it was very cathartic. And for like 8 hours, I got quite deep in the weeds, and at the end of it, I was just like, oh, I felt a huge weight off my shoulders. It was really quite good. It was like going to a counselor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it works, mate,
Yeah. But it was also really entertaining.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I use it a lot for shit like, players going into a fucking restaurant or a bar or something, and that I wasn't expecting, and all of a sudden they want to know what's on the menu, and I'm like, oh fuck it, just give me a list of things, and fantasy food, and then so I just use it slyly at the table because I have my laptop there, and it's great because it just saves me having to get a book or a table out or a random table, and it just keeps the flow of play.
Yeah, and in situations like that, you're not relying on it to be factually correct. It made it's just inspiration. Yeah.
So it's a tool. But I do argue with it a lot, and I do get told off a lot that I'm breaking community standards because I've got a bit of a thing for slavery. I'm not a slave. I like putting a lot of like sort of like dark, sort of villainous. I like my villains to be dark and evil. I'm not dark and evil by nature, but and when you're sort of trying to tell the AI that this is what your villain's up to, it gets a bit upset with you.
Yeah,
and thinks you're being a bad person. So, all right, I think we'll finish it up there, mate, for Christmas.
Yep. The main thing to look forward to in AI news is video generation. That's the big thing that's coming along in 2025. People are going to be blown away. Like you will not be able to trust anything that's under 5 minutes worth of video ever again.
Yeah.
I've been watching that. Song generation, I've been using suno.com. I've been generating video on conch.com and playing around with that. You'll see occasionally little snippets of it showing up in my videos of the animated artwork and stuff. And that's just me using tools and things. And those are free for the most part. I think Conch is only like, I think Suno's only like $10 a month, and you get professional ownership over the songs that you generate. So if other people use your music in their YouTube videos, you get a copyright claim. Like it'll that's the other thing that YouTube started doing. I had this one video where I had a fireplace crackling in the background. That was when I was just telling a story, reading a short story. Yeah. And it turns out that I'm the first person to use that. Therefore, I have copyright ownership over it. And everybody who's been using it in their Christmas videos, I've been getting notifications of copyright claims. Like, do you want to claim copyright? Do you want to shut down? Do you want to communicate with this creator? I'm like, nah. So it's like, no. It's like 6 notifications that somebody's been using it. One guy put out 4 videos using the same. Yeah, the fireplace. I mean, around Christmas time, everybody's doing Yuletide, videos and stuff. This guy's like doing a Michael Bublé Christmas music. So I checked out his channel and stuff. I was tempted to send him a message saying, hey, if I was an asshole, this is a situation that would have been really problematic for you. It still could be. I mean, technically I own that bit of media that you got in there, but I'm like, I'm never gonna make an issue of it because I'm a creator myself. So yeah. share and share alike, as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
it's Christmas. Christmas, it's time to be
That
nice.
too. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And on
All
that
right.
note, Merry Christmas, dude.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, man. I'm sure we'll talk before then or on Christmas Day. But thanks to the listeners, man. Yeah, we've got some really nice. Yeah, we get some really nice feedback. The internet can be a horrible place. And how long have we been doing this now? Almost 6-7 months.
Mm.
And I don't think I've had one bad comment. I've had nothing but love from the community. So yeah, appreciate it, man.
Mm.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be liked.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll change.
So to you, the listener, from us at Wizards and Warp Drives, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. And Merry Christmas, and it's good night from me. And it's actually nighttime.
It is night. Yeah.
I'm actually going to bed. Yeah, so for once, it's real.
And it's good night for him.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.